India is such an important part of AMD. When we look across our, all of our, global portfolio, it's been a remarkable experience. I mean, if you think about all of the things that have changed over the last 10 years.
Hello and welcome to the Global Dialogue. I'm Shireen Bhan, and it is my pleasure to welcome back on the show someone who was last on the Global Dialogue a decade ago. Lisa Su joins us now here at the Indian Science campus in Bengaluru. And of course, it's only appropriate that we have this conversation here in Bengaluru, which is also home to the largest R&D facility for AMD anywhere globally. Lisa, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us on the program.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You know, as I mentioned, we last spoke 10 years ago when you'd just taken over as AMD CEO. So it's been a decade for you at AMD as CEO, and it's been 20 years for AMD in India. So let's start with that. The journey of you as CEO combined with the milestone that you've just marked here in India.
Yes, well, it's a very special week for us this week. I'm here celebrating our 20th anniversary in India. India is such an important part of AMD. When we look across our, all of our, global portfolio, every aspect of our product line goes through our design center here in India. And so I had a great time this morning with our team. And when I look back at the last 10 years, it's kind of interesting that, we had met each other 10 years ago. It's been a remarkable experience. I mean, if you think about all of the things that have changed over the last 10 years, I say that, semiconductors have now gone from, something that was, kind of behind the scenes, under the covers to today. Everybody's talking about semiconductors, and semiconductors are essential to, every business, every country, every profession. So I think that feels very good. And then from an AMD standpoint, I think we've also had a very good 10 years in terms of, taking our business from what was in 2015, we were about a $4 billion company, and this year we'll be north of $25 billion. Yes. So there's been a lot of growth in there.
There has been a lot of growth, and I'll address the growth in just a second. But I want to double down on your bet on India. And you have committed $400 million to 2028, and you've just been here to inaugurate the last phase of this campus. Why the decision to make India the home for your largest R&D facility?
Well, we actually look at it in a very logical way. When you think about our business, it's all about having the most talented people around the globe. We run a very global team, and we did make a bet on India. We made a bet that we could build an end-to-end design capability here. So hardware, software, systems. It's an extremely talented team. And with the investments, nothing comes overnight. It comes after literally 20 years. I think 20 years ago, we started with, maybe 100 people. Yeah. Now we have 8,000 people in India across all of our product portfolio. And I think the bet has really, paid off. We wanted to have a major site in India, and we wanted to grow that skill set across the board. And I'm very happy to say that this is our largest team outside of the U.S. This is our largest design center here in Bangalore. So it is a very special place.
Well, I'm glad to hear that from you, Lisa. I also want to link this to the larger semiconductor story that's now starting to play out in India. You met with the Prime Minister in September when he was in the US for his visit. India's aspiring now to become a manufacturing hub of semiconductors as well. How do you see that playing itself out, and what do you believe will be some of the things that we need to be mindful of as we grow this ecosystem in this industry here?
Well, I have to say, I have a very, very high regard for Prime Minister Modi and, his strong vision on technology across semiconductors, both the Make in India, semiconductor manufacturing, design, as well as all the focus on AI. I think every aspect of that is truly important as we go forward. And especially around, semiconductor manufacturing, what I admire is, the very concrete, pragmatic steps that have been taken to both, attract global companies here, as well as, building the local infrastructure and ecosystem. And I think, the one thing is, these ecosystems take time. They don't come overnight. But I would say, lots of, very strong progress. And, we continue to invest in India because we really believe that this will be one of the most important markets and regions going forward, as well as a wonderful infrastructure and ecosystem for the type of development that we do.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, that this is going to require patience, and it's going to require patient capital as well. But outside of capital, what do you believe will need to be the essential ingredients that both the government as well as the private sector work towards to ensure that this is in fact a success story that we can talk about over the next few years?
Yes, I think there are a number of aspects. Certainly, having the right talent is important. So, building the university network so that you're growing the skill set locally is very important. That's one of the reasons we're excited to be on campus here today at IISc, because we're also doing work here around high performance computing. I think building the overall ecosystem. So, there is no one company or a few companies that really grow a semiconductor ecosystem. You really need the entire food chain, including manufacturers, design partners, equipment specialists, some of the foundational materials. And I think those steps are being taken.
If I could ask you a more broader question in terms of what's happening globally at this point in time, factors that could impact the semiconductor industry, export controls being one of them. And of course, we do now have a change as far as the White House is concerned, so we don't know how that's going to play out. But how do you adapt to a scenario that's so dynamic, so volatile?
Well, I would say that, again, we go back to the premise of semiconductors being so essential to everything that we do. It is natural that, each country should have a national policy around semiconductors. We are a U.S. company. We certainly are very cognizant of all of the export control regulations that are out there. But I also believe that that's only a small piece of the overall conversation. The overall conversation is the semiconductor ecosystem is a global ecosystem. And as such, we look at this as a broad market environment. We will continue to want to partner very broadly across the world. And within, working with the U.S. administration, also ensuring that we are able to help shape some of the policies going forward.